They both stood outside their home, both heartbroken over watching their son brutally murdered.
Dad said, "We know Jimmy's free. He's finally free." The mother of journalist James Foley begged the president to save the lives of other journalists kidnapped by ISIS. Outside their home in New Hampshire, Diane Foley showed incredible grace and strength.
We just pray that Jim's death can bring our country together in a stronger way and with the values that Jim hold dear.
The Foleys didn't know, but ABC News reported tonight that U.S. Special Forces tried to save Foley and others, but the mission failed because the hostages weren't there.
And tonight we are hearing from a close friend of James Foley, who is from right here in Baltimore. Matthew VanDyke says the ISIS group in Syria and Iraq could have been snuffed out before it got big enough to cause so much death and destruction. ABC 2 News' Christian Schaefer talked with him tonight. Christian.
Yeah, that's right, Jamie. Matt VanDyke grew up in South Baltimore. In 2011, he was in Libya trying to help some of his friends who were fighting against that country's dictator. He was captured and put in a Libyan prison for 6 months. Later, VanDyke traveled to Syria and made a film about that country's civil war. Along the way, he got to know James Foley.
He was a real professional. He was a straight shooter journalist. He was loved and respected by everybody who knew him.
On Tuesday, Matt VanDyke got a message with condolences for the loss of his friend, James Foley.
James and I met shortly after I escaped from prison in Libya.
Since that time, the Islamic fundamentalist group known as ISIS has taken over large sections of Syria and Iraq. Foley was kidnapped in 2012 and now beheaded on video by a masked member of the group. Did you watch it, and what do you think about them spreading that type of video around?
You know, the video doesn't help ISIS any. I mean, as far as propaganda, I don't think it's particularly useful in their favor. It shows them for the barbarians that they are. However, at the same time, I don't think people should necessarily seek it out and watch it, because you can't unsee what you see in that video. I watched it last night, and part of me wishes I hadn't.
Despite threats of more killings, President Obama says airstrikes on ISIS targets in Iraq will continue.
From governments and peoples across the Middle East, there has to be a common effort to extract this cancer so that it does not spread.
But Matt VanDyke says if the president had acted in Syria sooner, ISIS might not even exist.
We provided support to the moderate opposition in Syria and had this war come to an end, or supported the moderates enough that they were able to combat the rise of ISIS, we wouldn't be in this situation. These are like infestations when this stuff happens, and you have to eliminate it early, or if you let it spread, it becomes a much larger problem.
And now, in a few weeks, VanDyke says he will be headed back to the region. He's going to Iraq to try and help thousands of Christian refugees who have been displaced by those ISIS forces. He says he is concerned about his own safety, but he feels he has enough friends and contacts on the ground to keep him safe. You'll be able to find out more about what he's trying to do tonight on our website, abc2news.com. Live in the newsroom, Christian Schaefer, ABC 2 News.